So this client came in and originally just wanted kind of that like cherry cola ends. And then we got to talking after I got her root color on, and she decided that if I had the time, she wanted to do an oil slick color. Her natural level is about a level 3. She has a ton of gray in the front. So we've actually been putting level 3 on her hair for years now. So I knew that her hair would not lift completely clean, just due to the different hair colors that we've had to use over the years. Also, she has some cherry red in there. We've done purple on her. So my goal when I'm doing creative color is to get a lift enough to basically put the color palette that we picked. So oil slick is like navy, peacock, cranberry, any of those like deep, dark, kind of like moody jewel tones is what we were hoping for. So if you guys have worked with creative color before, you know you really only have to lift to like a bright orange, like apricot level 8 in order to use those deeper, darker jewel tones. So what I decided to do, because her hair is so thick, you guys, in one quadrant of her hair, I probably have like half the amount on my entire head. So I don't want to waste a lot of her time and a lot of my time bleaching out her entire head of hair. The other thing that I love about oil slick is it really relies on having a good, deep, dark, natural root, which we're covering now for gray. And the color I used is Goldwell Top Chic. It's not really progressive, so I'm not too worried about it getting too dark. I did mix it like half a level lighter than normal just because it's going to be sitting on there for an hour and a half by the time we're done. And then the other thing I wanted to point out here is I am encapsulating everything in foil. Now, it was freezing when I did this beautiful head of hair. And on top of that, my team keeps it very cold in the salon. So I wanted to make sure I had some heat conduction going on. So I'm going to paint the top, paint the bottom. I'm using Goldwell's Oxycur Platin with 20 volume. And I am working it through kind of side to side to the ends, almost like you would a balayage. The big difference here though is that I'm painting panels solid. So I'm painting the top, I'm painting the bottom horizontally first with my brush, and then I'm going back and vertically kind of like feathering that through. My goal is to get enough brightness and lightness through the top that way when we create the oil slick effect, it really pops on top of that dark hair. You can see the sections that I am painting at this point. You can literally see through them. They're thin little slices. I've got a pretty heavy line there, so I'm gonna put the foil under it, saturate it again, and then you'll see me go up and take my brush vertically and just feather that into the root color. Now, because we are using such deep, dark jewel tone colors, it doesn't have to be the world's most perfect lift. And thank goodness for that, because when you guys see the lift in a second, you're gonna see all those years of different colors that we've put on her head kind of coming out of there. I'm gonna play some music, and if you guys want to watch kind of each section by section, I don't wanna cut it out because I get lots of requests to just like leave it in. I'm gonna leave it on some like lo-fi, easy listening music. As you're watching the video, you can like scrub to the right. And once I get this bleach on, I will start talking again at the midpoint of this appointment. All right, here we are. Everything is painted. We are going to take a peek. We've got it lifted to that apricot orange color. Once I rinse this off, you guys will be able to see the color a little more evenly. See how it is like literally bright orange. Some of it I would say is even a level 7, but the purple will go over that pretty forgivingly. I'm going to work through her hair from bottom up. And the main thing I'm going to do here is make sure that I have everything pre-sectioned. You guys see I have the 3 sections. I like to do that when I'm working with someone with so very much hair, especially when I'm doing consistent colors on both sides. So I'm working with like a really beautiful kind of deep mahogany cranberry through the bottom. And I'm going to think through kind of my color palette as I pull out each section, because I want to make sure that the sections I'm painting, that the color I choose to put over them is very forgiving as far as a kind of like uneven clean lift goes. Now, this part of the process was so fast. Even though she has so much hair, it probably took me 25 minutes to apply all the color over it. And you can see me like really working it through and making sure that that saturation is fully there. Now, the other thing you'll see me do is pull down section by section, make sure that each section is easily painted on and that it's small enough to work the product through side to side. And now here I'm doing the blue. You have to keep in mind, you guys, that if I was just to put this purple straight over the orange or the blue straight over the orange, you'll have some like counteracting tones. So the purple over the orange is going to end up like a little bit muddy if it's not purpley pink enough. So you want to make sure you kind of add that little pop of pink. Now I want the blue to actually be blue because it has a lot of green undertones to it because of the yellow, I'm going to add a dab of purple into my blue to really counteract the yellow in the lift of her hair. Now I'm painting this section side to side. You guys can see I've got the front of her sectioned off as well. And I'm working the color in on a very flat panel. You'll see me go in, and I do this when I work with any sort of creative color, but especially when I'm working in large sections like this, is I will take the brush and almost like comb it through the hair, work it through side to side and horizontally, and then I'll go back through and use my hands on it. I love using my hands. They're literally my favorite tool. They're my favorite thing to use on hair. So if you guys are doing creative color, or even you're doing bleach outs and you're not using your hands, try them, see if you like them. They are amazing tools that we've been given. So I'm gonna work this through. The other thing you'll see me do as I let down this next section is, before I paint a panel, I will typically comb through that panel to make sure I have a nice, flat, even tension for each panel. Now you may be wondering, where did you get those gloves? These gloves are actually medical gloves. I had a client who, I guess she's a nurse, and she said that they expired for her. So they work great for hair color. So if you guys are low on gloves, great little tip right here. The other thing that I'm using in this video that you guys will see is this from our backwards bib. This is amazing. Look how messy her hair would be all over her cape. And I used to do that all the time, is just drop it down on the cape. I use a backwards bib on every single client that I apply color on. And the reason for that is because it just sticks, it stays in place. You can pull the creative color out of the way, and you get really good, clean results. Now here you see me like basically grabbing the panel and seeing what can fit in the palm of my hand and working it on from there. As I start working the color in, I'll see if I need to add more pigment into my color, more blue, more purple, whatever it is. As you guys are working your hand across each section, you can see how well the saturation is based off of whether or not you can see the underlying pigment still there. And I'm really working it through. I'm going to speed it up a little bit for you guys because I'm just doing the same thing over and over, painting big solid sections and making sure that the saturation is fully there. Now, one of the things you're going to see me do here is towel dry that hair on top. Because her hair is so thick, that hair just kind of like holds in that moisture when I've got it clipped up. So if you have someone whose hair is like holding on to the like wetness before you start putting on a direct dye, especially the Goldwell Elumen Play, I would recommend putting it on towel dried, almost dried hair, because you're going to get better saturation that way. You guys can really see how orange her hair is. Wait till you see the end results. You're going to be shocked at how much color we got. And unfortunately, because we did not plan on doing this appointment, I did not have her come in at the beginning of my day. I had her come in at the end. And so it was like 10 o'clock, I think, when we finished, and pitch black outside. So the best pictures I could get were with the ring light, which are my least favorite pictures for dark hair. But I still got you guys some good ones so you can really see what we did. Now, as you're working yourself through the crown, I would again use the most forgiving color palette that you have. And I would work through, do you see how I have like a little U-shaped section right at the top of her head in that crown section? And I would make it consistent if you're doing like a dark oil slick or peacock or something like that, that kind of blends together. That way you have a lot of consistency. The other thing I wanted to point out is every section that I did horizontally across her head, I made the color palette consistent throughout. So I did burgundy all the way across, purple all the way across, blue, and peacock. That way I've got really consistent placement. And the reason for that is her hair is so thick that if I was to take teeny tiny sections, all of the color work that I did would have just gotten lost in her beautiful hair. So we're going to work our way through the front. Keep in mind where your client parts their hair and ask them if they want the same color in the top cascading over the rest, or if they want some sort of contrasting color placement around their part. That's usually going to be the most important part to your client. So I always make sure that I double check what it is that they are wanting. And here we are, we're going to process for 20 minutes and then we're going to go into our results. You guys, look how beautiful this showed up over that terrible, horrible orange. Again, we didn't have great light, but you can see a lot of the purple I placed up around her face. You can see it peeking out there in the bottom left. You can see a lot of the reds. The green turned out amazing. I hope you guys get a chance to try this placement. If you guys are taking pictures of this type of hair, like the oil slick hair, turn your brightness down a little bit when you take it, because the iPhones are too smart and they blow everything out. The other thing I would do is make sure that your contrast is high enough to really show the colors. Thanks for watching, you guys. Have a great day.